Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for Bedford Township for April 6, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Let's have a moment of silence for Trooper Brown, who was a state trooper with Monroe Post for 30 years. Okay, thank you very much. At this time, if we can have Pastor Tim Lowy from Christ the King open us up in prayer.
Thank you. This is Pastor Tim Lowy. I preach at Christ the King Lutheran Church in Lambertville, and we bring you greetings from Christ the King, where we preach Jesus Christ crucified, risen, ascended, and coming again soon for the salvation of all who believe. Thus it is written that the Christ should suffer and on the third day rise from the dead, and that repentance and forgiveness of sins should be proclaimed in his name to all nations, beginning at Bedford Township. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. O risen Lord Jesus Christ, we are gathered together, the elected representatives of the people of Bedford Township, to consult together on important matters relating to the promotion of the liberty and best interests of the people of Bedford. We beseech you to be in the midst of us, and grant that we may, without rancor, earnestly desire, wisely search out, truly perceive, and perfectly fulfill those things that are best for the people and which are well-pleasing in your sight, to the praise and glory of your holy name. Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the communion of the Holy Ghost be with you all. Amen.
Amen. Nice. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Have a good night.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Up next, number 2, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda is submitted.
Okay.
Second.
Motion in support of Ms. Janizak. Discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janizak? Aye. Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
And Mr. Gore is absent.
And the motion passed 6-0. Okay, up next, number 3, consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to A, approve and place on file the minutes of the March 16, 2021 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board. Look for a motion.
Motion to approve this consent agenda is submitted.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Bruning. Discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Ms. Janizak? Aye. Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 6-0. Up next is a presentation from Sheriff Troy Goodenough and Under Sheriff Jeff Pauley. Presentation on first quarter stats, speed signs, and a video surveillance camera project. Thank you guys for being on tonight. We appreciate you both. So go ahead.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here, Mr. Supervisor, fellow trustees. We'll start out, I'll see if I can navigate putting these stats up on the screen for you. Well, they were there. I want to start out with the 2020 stats. It's the first quarter, just to show reference to and compare the 2020 first quarter stats to our 2021 first quarter stats. As you can see, the Sheriff's Office handled 1,313 complaints, 310 traffic stops, 190 supplements, 119 crashes, 628 assists, 116 citations, 85 paper service, 38 arrests, and 95 warrant requests. I'm not going to get into the hours breakdown. However, we'll direct your attention to the 2021 stats, going from left to right. You recall the complaints were 1,313. Our complaints are 1,403, an increase. Our traffic stops increased from 310 to 1,082. Our supplement increased from 190 to 236. Traffic crashes, originally 119, were reduced to 98. Paper service is lower in 21 than 20. A lot of that has to do with the fact that the courts were not in session, and a lot of cases have been put on hold. Citations for 2020 were 116, whereas our citations for 2021 were 228. Arrests, 38 compared to 52. Warrant requests, 95 compared to 161. In our humble opinion, this information speaks volume as to the amount of activity being conducted by the deputies assigned to your contract unit compared to last year. So if we could, we'll move right on to radar signs that we spoke about, and then we go into the CCTV discussion, and then open it up for questions, unless you'd rather have questions now, Mr.
No, we could go ahead, keep rolling through.
Sheriff, I just have one quick comment. You didn't want to go to the full hours, but I do want to commend you for what you've done quarter to this year to last year. Last year, there was 6,186 hours to do all that work. This year, your hours are only 5,647. So you've done more work in less hours, and I commend you for that.
Well, thank you.
Go ahead, Sheriff Goodenough.
Okay, thank you. And again, I'll try to navigate this next display. I think apparently it didn't work, so I'm just going to go back to the screen. As you know, Commissioner, trustees, there's been some conversation about additional patrols and what we could do to more proactive enforcement. We've shown that to you today in our stats, but we still feel there's room for improvement. One of the biggest things we continue to field is complaints related to traffic. One of the things that we've researched, and we've based our research on the city of Monroe utilizes speed signs. We feel they're effective. They reduce people's speeds in the areas in which they are deployed by 25%. These speed signs also afford us the opportunity to gather information as to speed study information, the number of vehicles, the average speed of those vehicles. But as I said, it's a deterrent. Yes. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So again, I won't reiterate what I've said. These devices are created by Elaine City. The city of Monroe utilizes them. Very favorable. And I know we shared the packet with each of you. We were fortunate enough that we did secure some quotes for these particular units. What are we looking at with this? We're looking at possibly the Secor and Stearns intersection, as well as downtown Temperance on Lewis Avenue. We would be willing to partner with the township to further research these products. Our part of this would be to speak with the road commission, seek the appropriate permits and approval, and oversee the installation of these devices. I will tell you that if you were to buy 5 of these units with the discount, the cost would be $13,750. And if we were to buy 3 of these units, the cost would be $8,878. Again, I'd like you to review this information, and if it warrants further discussion, we are more than happy to engage in further discussion. Again, we see value in placing these units at the Stearns and Secor intersections and Lewis Avenue.
Well, let me just update the board. The DDA is pursuing these at the Secor and Stearns intersection. So Sheriff Goodenough and I had a meeting and discussed this, and thought it'd be good to, with his update here, to bring these up to the board to see if there's any interest in some other areas that have speed issues, because these are proven to reduce speed. So here he is. If we do buy him in bulk, you do save. So I believe that's why it's here tonight, to see if the board has any interest in purchasing a couple of these for Lewis Avenue. But the DDA is moving forward, I believe, in purchasing, because in the DDA, they were looking for more enforcement. And so Sheriff Goodenough, instead of just throwing money at manpower, we talked, and it was a good start to start here with the speed signs to get people to slow down. So I appreciate that. And so if the board has any interest, we could put this on the next agenda, or, it wasn't put on to, have a motion or anything, but if there is interest, we could, look for that. So go ahead, Sheriff.
All right, and last, it's obvious that we need to move into the 21st century of policing. And one of the things that here at the Sheriff's Office, myself and the Undersheriff have been researching is cameras. And one of the programs, and again, I don't expect any action on this tonight. I'm merely addressing this with the board so they know what we're looking at to advance law enforcement policing procedures in Monroe County, particularly in this case, Bedford and Frenchtown Township. We've done our research. We've communicated with a company called WCC TV, and what we would like to see over a 5-year plan is to deploy traffic cameras at the intersections of Lewis and Smith, Smith and Telegraph, Jackman and Smith, Douglas and Smith, and Secor and Smith, and possibly even Stearns and Secor. The capabilities that this company offers is one camera would be a 360 camera. We would catch every vehicle coming into Bedford Township or the state of Michigan on those thoroughfares and every car leaving. The cameras in itself are roughly $8,800 a piece. If we had license plate reader capabilities to those cameras, it would be an additional $3,500. All the information is on the cloud. We can view that from our patrol cars. We can view that from a desktop computers to whoever we give access to. So what's the value of these cameras? As I mentioned early on, we see every vehicle coming and leaving our jurisdiction. If we add the license plate reader component, we capture their license plate data, and we record that. There is a monthly fee, less than $40 for each camera, to be able to store this information on the cloud and have it accessible. We all know the criminal activity that occurs in our county, and we all know that a vast majority of these individuals flee our state. I'm going to use the Tractor Supply as an example. We've had a number of push-outs where individuals go in, steal a piece of equipment. They say it was a white Chevy pickup, and it last seen southbound on Secor. We do our very best to intercept that vehicle, but with this camera system, we'd be able to capture that vehicle, capture that plate information, and it wouldn't take long for us to get a good return on our investment when we solve a number of crimes of this nature. Again, I know you have a very aggressive agenda. Unless the Undersheriff has something he'd like to add to either the three components that we addressed this evening, we'll open the questions as long as that's okay with the supervisor.
Chief Deputy Pauly, you want to add anything?
No, I just want to say I'm really thrilled with the activity from our deputies. The sheriff highlighted that the activity, the increase is tremendous. I'm not a math major, but the percent increase in just traffic stops alone, it sends a message. It's a visibility thing, and we're really excited to continue the partnership with Bedford Township. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you guys very much. And I will say this, I have heard from many residents that feel like we have more patrol in Bedford. We're super excited about the 12-hour shifts that the board is partnered with you guys on. And I think most of your officers are excited about that as well. And it's just night and day. The multiple meetings I've had with Sheriff Goodenough and just collaboration on different things has been really good. I really appreciate it, and I know our residents really appreciate it as well. So thank you guys both for all your hard work.
And just
any other board?
They're going to go to the 12-hour shift Sunday at 7 a.m., the 11th of April.
Yep. So, okay, sounds good. Well, we thank you guys so much. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Moving on in our agenda to public comments. Comments limited to 5 minutes for board agenda items only. Good evening. Go ahead and state your name and address and go ahead with your comment.
Jared Euclid, 1424 Windham Street, Temperance, Michigan. And I was just wondering, was that being voted on for the crack fill for Stonegate tonight?
Yes, it is being voted on tonight.
Okay. Now, I mean, what are you guys going to fill? Other than a stress crack here or there, there's really nothing going on.
Okay. Well, appreciate your comment. Is that all you had to say?
Yeah, just like a ridiculous waste of money to me. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead and state your name and address and go with your comment.
Yeah, hi, my name's Cheryl Hill. My address is 1398 Burwood. I live near Smith and Lewis in the old Hooverdale Estates. And the reason I'm calling in tonight is I would like the board to pursue the possibility of establishing an ordinance which would prohibit the discharge of a firearm for the purpose of training or practice on, in, or near subdivisions or densely populated areas. I would recommend that the board use existing data to identify where the subdivisions and or those densely populated areas exist, and use that data to develop a map or a grid of the township. And this could provide transparency to homeowners. It could be posted on the web, and it also could be used to aid law enforcement if calls were made. In the last month, I've had 2 incidents at my address where my neighbor, who is surrounded by homes on all 3 sides, with one home directly behind him, decided to go out and do target practice and teach his son how to use a .22 caliber rifle. And he also discharged 40 caliber and 9mm pistols. And his berm or backstop was a 2-foot by 2-foot cube of rubber, which is normally used for archery targets. It's an archery target, and a big piece of plywood. And he felt that that was safe. So imagine yourself sitting on your patio on a Sunday, the sun shining, and someone 50 yards away with clear line of sight to your property, discharging firearms. Okay. And to my disbelief, I was told that there's no ordinance prohibiting that. Now, I'm going to tell you, this call is not politically motivated. I am totally pro-gun, and I am totally Second Amendment, and I'm totally freedom for the Constitution. However, when you're using firearms, there is inherent risk, okay? And if there's no guidance on the book on what is deemed safe to prevent injury to persons or property, then it's going to be up to each individual's imagination on what's safe. And I don't believe anybody, pro-gun or not, wants to be sitting in their subdivision and their neighbor who's directly adjacent to them discharging firearms in their backyard. So now I realize I grew up in Monroe County. I've lived in Bedford for 18 years. And I've seen a lot of changes in the 18 years I've lived in Bedford. 7, 8, 9 subdivisions. Large acreage parcels have been subdivided for single dwelling homes. And so now we have a more dense population. But yet we still, in some areas of the township, have those wide open spaces. So I thought maybe using existing data and providing a grid that could be transparent to everyone and help them make the right decision. Do I live in an area of the township where I can discharge my firearm on my own property if I'm safe? Can I not due to population density? So that is why I'm calling tonight. And I'd like to know if I can assist the board in any way to do that and what are the next steps.
Okay, thank you so much for your call and have a great night.
Okay, you too.
All right, bye-bye. Good evening. Go ahead and state your name and address and go ahead with your comment.
Hi, this is Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. You know, I'm absolutely amazed at some of the stuff the supervisor does. And I've listed them in the past. But goodness, this time the chutzpah is beyond belief. Here comes 2 contracts for crack sealing in roads. One of them is his front yard, and the other one is the deputy's front yard. And now, of course, the supervisor has put on a post that says, hey, neighbors, please call in and support my program here because it is really good for us, and the township's going to pay for it. We won't have to. By the way, Mr. Montry, chutzpah is probably a Jewish term, and you may not know it. But in any event, I'm just absolutely amazed that the supervisor would say, well, we traveled all the roads in the township, and these 2 roads, one in front of the deputy's house and one in front of my house, is the one that needed to be worked. I'm sure you could find other roads that are 26 or 27 years old that could do the work too. And maybe Mr. Gore, who's not here tonight, maybe he ought to spend some money on his street. How about some in the other board members' streets? Why not bring them all in? And that way we can just say, well, everybody's being treated the same as long as you're a board member. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for your comments. Have a great night. Next caller. Good evening. Go ahead and state your name and address and go with your comment.
Shalom. Gail Kane, 105 West Temperance. Here we are once again discussing the same old unfinished business. 7A, why are the applicants for planning, which have already been submitted by the supervisor and rejected by the board, still in the mix? Enough. The applicants who were in the original initial groups deserve to have their applications considered. This isn't a matter of letting the supervisor just stomp his feet like a 2-year-old until he gets his way. To offer these applicants by our supervisor, but let's not forget he called a road commissioner an idiot when he didn't get his way in a road meeting. Need I say more? 8B, by rule, the board has only 2 options, vote yes or no. I believe they have a right to vote yes. The committee, however, I'm disappointed the committee, having made their decision before the final audit and full disclosure of the state's revenue sharing, did not fully address the disparity in the wages of our full-time elected. The gap could have been closed, allowing for an option with or without proper funds. It was our clerk and treasurer who maintained the essential operations of our township hall during the peak of COVID. You didn't see them posting photos of lighthouses and shorelines. 8D, to the roads. Okay, folks, you want collusion and collaboration? Get your waders on for this one. This is a real issue, and the voters deserve to know specifically who determined which roads. I want names and numbers. What makes the topic political is the supervisor, again, is misusing his office to benefit friends, family, and campaign contributors. Given the roundabout fiasco and the fight with Whiteford Township regarding Adler Road, it's time, people, we need to reinstate an official road and safety committee, because we shouldn't be having the supervisor going to meetings alone. That the supervisor and township engineers should not have a seat at the table. It's like putting developers on planning. It's a bad mix. 8E. I think some very valuable insight in this matter has been shared. In thorough discussion of the wages and in the best interest of the township, we need to seek the benefit of having a group come in. This will prevent manipulation by the supervisor in the matters of that department. If, again, the supervisor insists on throwing one of his temper tantrums and none of the groups are willing to work for us, then let the state come in and take it over. Maybe then some of the unethical behavior of the supervisor's office will be officially documented. As to 8F, Banner Oak, folks, after reviewing the information presented at the October 20th, 2020 meeting, we need to tread softly. We need to take advantage of an outside resource, the Monroe County Historical Society, to ensure we get this right. We cannot entrust this to be done right without having a good investigation into the right way to do this. And in closing, I would like to offer a compromise. I will give you one elected official from the supervisor's office in return for 2 full-time maintenance workers and an option in the ordinance department at a later time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Have a great night. Next caller. Good evening. Go ahead and state your name and address. Go ahead with your comment.
Hi, this is Ann Carmel, 1433 Tennyson Drive in Temperance. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead with your comment.
Okay, thank you. I'm calling about 3 agenda items for this evening. Firstly, I'd like to voice my opposition to item 8D. There are a number of red flags that come up when I looked into this issue, namely that the supervisor and deputy supervisor, like Yale just said, live in 2 out of the 3 subdivisions listed that are seeking township funds for road repairs. As well, I understand that Manick and Smith were a part of the original project, at least in Stonegate, and if I'm not mistaken, they were also involved in the decision of which roads to repair in a recent ride-along with the supervisor and the MCRC. This appears to be a major conflict of interest to have a firm that originally was involved in the project also be one of the entities deciding which roads should be repaired with township funds. Additionally, some Stonegate residents voiced frustration at the lack of professionalism and poor workmanship of Manick and Smith during the original time period of the project last year, and it concerns me that there has apparently been no investigation or inquiry by the township as to whether Manick and Smith themselves should be responsible for covering the cost of the crack sealant that apparently already needs to be done in order to be fiscally responsible with the township's limited budget for road repairs. If the supervisor is bringing this to a vote this evening, I'm sure he'll have all the answers to my questions and reasonable justifications as to why these subdivisions were selected in particular for township funds, and why Manick and Smith are not being considered to pay for this crack sealant, and why other subdivisions were not considered and or selected for repairs with township funds. Personally, as a New Bedford homeowner who just moved here last summer, but who inherited payments still being made for our own subdivision's road resurfacing 6 years ago, I just need to know that this was a fair and equal process that doesn't only benefit a few and leave everyone else out. The second agenda item I'd like to address is 7A, the appointment to the Planning Commission. The supervisor has recommended Matt Maruga. This concerns me as this appears to be a shift in the supervisor's strategy from attempting to fulfill his statutory responsibility of bringing qualified applicants to a vote for this commission to now bringing his friends and associates to a vote, possibly for the sake of publicity for upcoming political campaigns of their own, and more importantly, who, with all due respect to Mr. Maruga, are much less qualified than prior applicants, such as Tom Coverett, whom the supervisor has still refused to consider, but has yet offered virtually no justification as to why. I'm hoping that the supervisor does not continue bringing these kinds of applicants to the table, as it could possibly represent a dereliction of his duty to bring qualified applicants to a vote for this position. And finally, the item I'd like to address last is 8E, discussion on filling the vacant head assessor position. I'm extremely hopeful that the supervisor will decide to back Assessing Solutions to reinstate their bid and vote to hire them. I've personally looked into this situation pretty extensively and compared each of the bids and applications, and Assessing Solutions is not only the most inexpensive bidder when you the need to have other employees at the township level, but also the most highly recommended and experienced bidder with the most comprehensive, professional, and well-done proposal. Their proposal was 23 pages long, very thorough, very, very good. And Bedford would be extremely lucky to have them fulfill this very important township function. And I'm completely certain that they are the best candidate for this position, given all of the research I've done into this particular situation. Thanks, and have a great night.
Thank you for your comments. Have a great night. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to staff reports. Chief Massengillon, looks like he is.
Yes, sir.
6A, Fire Department 2020 Annual Report and Update. Chief, go ahead.
Yes, so the board was provided with a copy of the annual report. I just wanted to really briefly, I'll try and move through really fast. We were up again. Our call volume was up over 3,000 for the first time in our history with 3,037 calls. We've got our response time fractals, which have continued to improve. We're exceeding both the county standard and the national standard right now as far as our response time. So that's included in the information, along with some different graphs and charts that kind of break down both monthly and by time of the day how our responses are. About 75% of our calls were EMS incidents last year. A lower percentage, only about 3% were actual structure fires. We did have 36 building fires though for the year. As we move through, we also have included some graphs and some charts which overlay our heaviest response areas, and you can see that as in comparison to where our 3 stations are located. Again, we feel like the stations are perfectly placed to respond to the majority of our calls. Incident numbers, we still see that Station 3 is the busiest, Station 2 slightly behind it, or District 2. Station 1 has about 601 calls a year. It's the 3rd busiest of the 3. We included the apparatus information in here, which also has our 30-year projected apparatus plan, and then a breakdown of the apparatus that we have in service this year. So we just wanted to make sure that the board had time to review that. If they had any questions, be happy to try and answer them tonight.
We appreciate it, Chief, as always. Very professional, well put together. So we really appreciate everything you do. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, moving on, Chief.
Okay, so the engine bids, you'll see actually in referencing the apparatus plan, you'd see that we've been planning for a fire engine purchase in 2022. The lead time for that is a little over a year away, so we want to go ahead and get that ordered now so we can replace our what will be 30-year-old fire engines at that time. So the bids were sent out. The low bid, our design committee reviewed and found multiple, I think up to 10 missing items from their bid, and ultimately recommended that we reject that bid based on the fact that it didn't meet the specifications we sent out, which meant that Spencer Manufacturing out of South Haven, Michigan was the next lowest bid, or the lowest viable bid, we believe, at $743,540. That being said, our projections, we were hoping to be around $675,000. But we went back and we took a look. We worked on getting the cost down, and we would further like not only to be able to accept the bid, but for the board to give us approval to make some concessions on the overall design and get down under $705,000, which will fit into our millage budget for the year. So I won't bore you with reading through the entire information that we have here. But if you got any questions about anything specific in the proposal, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any comments, questions from board members? Okay, none. Mr. Bruning, you're muted, just so you know.
There we go. Yeah, Chief, I'm just glad to see you guys go with other manufacturers besides Pierce. Pierce is like the Cadillac of fire engines. It's nice to see you guys stay local.
We're looking forward to keeping our tax money in Michigan. The Pierces have served us well, but the last couple of times, Pierce has opted not to bid, as was the case again. They opted not to bid this time around. So we're very, very comfortable with the Spencer apparatus. So thank you.
Mr. Steiner?
So, Chief, looks like you're going to be able to mitigate maybe around $38,000 to get down to this 705.
Yes, sir. We believe so. We're comfortable getting under the $705,000 mark. Like I said, we're going to go into, as long as we've got approval from the board to go in and negotiate some concessions during the design phase, we're comfortable we can get it down to something that fits our budget a little better.
Okay, and then the finance plan for this over how many years?
We wouldn't need to finance this. So on chassis, on receiving the chassis, we would have to pay a little under half for it. We've got that set aside in next year's apparatus and equipment fund, and then the balance would be due when we take delivery. We will also have that set aside. So when we look at our long-term apparatus and equipment budget and how we've planned that out, we shouldn't have to finance this engine. We'll be paying cash for it along the way.
Okay, so basically 2 fiscal years to pay for it then.
That's correct, sir. Yep.
I thought that was correct in your funds, but I wanted to make sure I asked the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any more comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I look for a motion.
I make a motion to accept the proposal from the fire chief that he continues to negotiate with Spencer Manufacturing to negotiate the design concessions to ensure the overcost of the apparatus does not exceed $705,000. Also, just to make a side note, that the lowest bid was rejected due to the fact that they did not meet all the requirements of the bid. The public should know that's why we're not taking the lowest bid.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Bruning. Discussion? Seeing none, just call the roll, please.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janczak?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 6-0. Okay, item 6C, approval to appoint 3 part-time probationary firefighters and to reserve 2 other part-time probationary firefighter positions. Chief?
Yes, so Jeremy Zientek, Chad Boy II, and Helen Moore have completed our screening process for applicants. They made it all the way through, and we would recommend to bring them on. All 3 of them are certified firefighter EMTs, and they'd be able to come in, start orienting, and make an immediate impact on the service delivery for the organization. Additionally, we've got 2 other candidates that completed the entire process. However, they're working on training requirements. What we would like to do, this is a little different than what we've done in the past. In the past, we've brought even uncertified candidates on, but we're in a position right now where we can bring them into the organization or reserve positions for them so we don't fill those spots as they've completed it. Let them finish up their firefighter and their EMT training, and then guarantee them a position once they've completed that training. So this is just to bring them in and get them integrated. It allows us to sponsor them through the county fire class because with this approval and keep them moving along, but we won't utilize them until we have them fully certified.
Okay, motion. Any comments, questions? Yeah, look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal by fire chief for 3 firefighters, certified firefighter EMT, Mr. Zientek, Mr. Bai, and Ms. Moore, and then to hold the other additional 2 positions for future as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion supported by Ms. Janczak. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janczak?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 6-0. Last item 6D, approval to purchase 5 Paratech lifting bags from Apollo Fire Equipment. Chief?
Yes, sir. So our lifting bags are airbags, commonly known as. We realized when we were doing some training the last month, they're about 20 to 30 years old. They've far exceeded the manufacturer's expectations, and we did have a couple of them fail when they were doing lifting through the year. So we knew that we were coming up on replacing them. Being that they've reached that age and we've got concerns with failure that we experienced in a couple other ones earlier in the year, we think it would be prudent to replace the bags at this time. Apollo is the company that provides the maintenance to us. They're the local sales reps for these bags. And we would like to stay with the Paratech bags instead of going out and soliciting from different manufacturers, because we can keep the cost down by using our existing controller instead of going and bidding out for a new controller as well as new bags. So we think that this makes sense to save us a little bit of money.
Okay. Anybody have any comments or questions? Seeing none, look for a motion.
I'll make a
motion.
Sorry, Doc.
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of 5 Paratech lifting bags from Apollo Fire Equipment as recommended by Chief Massengill.
Second.
Okay, motion supported by Mr. Steiner. Discussion?
I have a comment there. I was at a recent training a couple weeks ago with the fire department, spent most of the day over there at the fire station with them during extrication training, very valuable to these firefighters. And I encourage anybody to go out and watch them do their training. Or a couple weeks before that, I was at an agility testing. It encourages these guys. They see people standing around watching them, and you can tell they appreciate people that are there to support them. Even had a couple nice comments from people saying, hey, it's nice to see somebody out here supporting us. As for these particular lifting bags, I actually watched some of them in demonstration. They even had one that darn near lifted the rear end of the ladder truck, and that's a pretty major feat. I doubt we'd have too many pieces of equipment where we'd have to raise that type of vehicle, but these can be extremely valuable tools. Chief and I went through and he showed me the ones that we have. I mean, they look like they're in great shape, but they're at the end of their useful life, and to ensure that we're protecting the citizens, this is a smart purchase by the fire department to replace these bags.
Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 6-0. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Okay, staff reports. I'm sorry, unfinished business, appointment to the Planning Commission. Okay, we have on my note here. Okay. I'm recommending to the board to appoint Matt Moraga to the Planning Commission for first term ending 12/31/23. Mr. Moraga has lived and worked in Bedford Township most of his life and is considered a leader in this community. Mr. Moraga is currently a manager and has the critical thinking skills needed for the Planning Commission. Mr. Moraga believes community service is an opportunity to give back to a place that has given him so much. That's my motion.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Montry. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
No.
Mr. Steiner?
No.
Ms. Janusik?
No.
Hirschberger votes no.
Okay, the motion failed 4-2. Moving on to a new business, vouchers for payment.
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund, $289,632.12. Fire District Fund, $22,689.66. Police Fund, $2,254.26. Park Operating Fund, $5,492.55. Fire Equipment, $144,298.72. Transit System Fund, $43,055. Library Operating Fund, $12,914.96. Enchanted Forest Fund, $70,471. Canterbury Forest, $21,514. Green Hills and Other Fund, $132,600. Barbara Lee and Harmony, $36,575. Downtown Development Authority, $57,727.32. Sewer O&M Fund, $453,669.94. Trust and Agency Fund, $563.51. for a grand total of $1,293,458.04.
Second.
Okay, motion is supported, Ms. Janizek. The only thing I would ask about the sewer O&M fund, are we sure that's the right payment?
Yes, it's for the
Oh.
bond. The
Good.
three of us have checked it. It's for the bond and maintenance payment to the drain commission.
Okay, as long as we know for sure.
It is.
Okay.
Paul,
Please.
I want to add that I'm excited that officially getting money into a capital improvement fund in there as well. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, and some of these other high numbers are other bonds that were paid.
Okay, let's call the roll, please.
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janizek?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Crony?
Aye, the motion passed 6-0. Okay, 8B, recommended salary changes from the compensation committee. Is Mr. Zeiler on?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Good, yeah, hi, Mr. Zeiler, go ahead.
Hi.
Appreciate
Hello, my
all
name
the
is Bill
hard work you
Zeiler.
and your committee put into this, so we appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's our pleasure. As I was saying, my name is Bill Zeiler of Brandywine Street in Temperance. I am the chair of the Bedford Township Compensation Commission for 2021. I was joined on this board by Vice Chair John Sikowski, Secretary Mary Ann McPhee, members Phil Konasecker and Keith Godfrey. We've been charged with setting the salaries for elected officials of the Bedford Township Park Board, Bedford Township trustees, the clerk, treasurer, and supervisor. As a board, we examine the salaries for townships in the state of Michigan who are comparable to Bedford in population and property taxable value, as provided by the Michigan Township Association. We reviewed communications sent to us via email and Zoom meetings from township employees and residents. We also looked at the effects of that the pandemic had on our community as well as nationally. And as the final part of our due diligence, we reviewed financial information provided by Bedford Township Finance Director Bob Miller. After taking all of this information into consideration, this board makes the following recommendation. So your decision will take effect beginning July 1st, 2021, and all of these recommendations are made with unanimous approval of the commission. Number one, there should be no raise in salary for park board members for the next 2 fiscal years. Number two, there should be no raise in salary for township trustees for the next 2 fiscal years. Number three, there should be no raise in salary for the township supervisor, treasurer, or clerk in the next fiscal year. The township supervisor should receive a 1.5% or $1,098 raise in salary for the fiscal year beginning July 1st of 2022. The township clerk and township treasurer should receive a 3.96% or $2,833.37 raise in salary for the fiscal year beginning July 1st of 2022. The additional increase in salary for the clerk and treasurer will bring their wages to parity with the supervisors. So on behalf of myself and the rest of the compensation committee, I'd like to thank you for the honor and privilege it was to serve the community. If there's any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from board members? Okay, seeing none, I look for a motion.
I make a motion, we accept the recommended salary changes from the compensation committee.
Second.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Steiner. Discussion. I'll be voting no, just for the simple fact that in the times we're in right now, I don't think anybody should be getting raises. Not this year or next year with so much uncertainty. So that's all I've got. Okay, Ms. Hirschberger, could you call a roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Yes.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janizek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Crony?
No, and the motion passed 5-1. Okay, moving on to 8 C, deficit elimination plan resolutions. Sandy Well, Stonegate, and Mildred Drive. Ms. Hirschberger?
So at our last meeting, it looks like Sandy Well was missed in the 10 that we were approving. So we're bringing that one back for approval. So, and then the other two, Stonegate and Mildred Drive, when submitted to the state, they asked for some changes with the principal payment. They wanted in an assessment revenue rather than fund balance appropriated. So we have made those two changes, so we need to approve those two resolutions with the changes. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve Sandy Well Drive Deficit Elimination Plan as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported. Ms. Januzak, discussion? I just have one thing to add. Ms. Hirschberger, in the future, are we going to continue to use the water fund as a resource for road assessments, SADs?
At this point, there's not enough money to use in the.
Well, when the money starts being paid back, is that something we're going to continue to do? Because I wasn't really under the assumption that we were utilizing water fund money all these years. But I just didn't know if we should stop it, because if we have water projects, we don't have money for them. And the money was put there a long time ago in case South County Water fails. We have a backup plan with some money so we don't have the money. So I just didn't know if the board should probably discuss it at some point.
At one point, the board did discuss how we could save residents money, and this was the way we could save them money rather than bonding. So that's why we started using the money this way, because it was just sitting there and it could be used for helping out residents to improve their roads, or we could use it for other things. It just happens to be used for roads. So if this board decides not to do that any longer, then we would just go back to the bonding. But again, that's going to cost the residents more money, probably add about $30,000 to $40,000 onto the total.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just, the board's discussed a lot of fairness.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so in order to be fair, we really need to be across the board, because right now we have residents that are going forward with projects that can't get their projects bonded because we're out of money. So how are we fair to them? Projects last year, including my subdivision, was utilized. So, it's.
Well, we were hoping as money came in that be available for other SADs. In the past, it wouldn't have been a problem, but it seems like SADs have been very popular. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have been pushing for SADs, so we have had double, triple the amount we have had in the past.
Just something the board needs to discuss, that's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Yes, it is.
Could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes yes. Ms. Janusek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Yes.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 6-0. Item 8D, Monroe County Road Commission.
No, wait, I have two more.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
All right. So if you go through the packet, the next one would be the Stonegate resolution. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Stonegate subdivision deficit elimination plan as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Bruning. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes yes. Mr. Bruning?
Yes.
Ms. Janusek?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 6-0.
And then the last one is for Mildred. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Mildred presented.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Ms. Januzak. Discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janusek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 6-0. Item 8D, Monroe County Road Commission Road Improvement Contract, Stonegate, Chapel Creek, and the Heights subdivision. Just for clarity and for full exposure, Two of the subdivisions, yes, the callers are correct. One of them is a subdivision I live in, Stonegate, and the other one is the Heights subdivision, which is my deputy's that he lives in as well. Both were special assessment districts. Mr. Pryor's is $11,700 per house. Mine was roughly $2,200 per house. Mine was pretty much a maintenance project, and Mr. Pryor's was a full depth project. They've been paying on for years. So I don't know if some of the new board members or even some of the new residents, but surely Mr. Frederick knows that we put together a plan a few years ago where if you pull a special assessment district and you spend the money, that this board would move forward with crack seals. We've done it in the past. We've done it for quite a few subdivisions over the past couple of years. It just so happens when we drove the subdivisions this time around with the road commission and our township engineers that a lot of them were either done in prior years or just didn't need the work. And mine was one that was borderline, but it's good to move on these quickly. I understand you had some questions, Mr. Hirschberger, about it just being done last year. This wasn't a full depth job to where you mill and fill down to the base and put down new base. It was, they grinded out 2 feet on each edge and then put an inch of ultra thin overlay as a cap. We knew that the next year that these cracks would show through, but it's good to get on them right away. So that's what the recommendation was from the two of them were road commission. One was Dave Leach and Bushman and Matt and from the Manica Smith group and myself. So this is what was they come up with, and you know, so there you go, Ms. Janzak.
Well, I called Barry the other day just because I had some questions on of my own, because this is still kind of new to me and I want to understand. Mm-hmm. And he gave me some insight on the process. In speaking to him, he said that the roads are not bad, that they could actually wait another year failing. So I guess my question on that one is why are we pressing for now? And then the other thing I'm going to touch on, I know you said that the Heights was a SAD. I was part of that drain assessment when I lived at my old address. That was not a special assessment that was pulled by the residents. That was a drain assessment that was told by the residents that they had to pay by the Drain Commission. So I understand where we're going with if a SAD is pulled by the residents that we do the crack fill. This was not pulled by the residents. This was told and thrust upon the residents by the Drain Commission. So no. I mean, I understand that it will need to be done, but I think we're giving false information out there when we say that their SAD was pulled. An SAD was not pulled for this one.
Yes, it was.
No, it was not, Paul. I'm done.
Then talk to Tim Sergel, because this was a special assessment that went through the Drain Commissioner's office. These residents had to sign off on this road to get done. They didn't assess them for this road project. They were doing a drain project, and then they did a special assessment. I'm just telling you.
And I'm just saying, I'm not arguing.
Hold on, let me finish, but you're interrupting me when I'm talking.
You
so we're not going to do that at this board meeting. We're going to, let's not interrupt people, and we'll be just fine. I talked to Tim Sergel today to double check on that. It was something that the residents did a special assessment on. It wasn't through the township. It was through the Drain Commissioner's office. Now, the Drain Commissioner handled the drain project as well, but then the residents had to sign off and do a petition on the road. And there is, in my opinion, there's no difference to that neighborhood or any other neighborhood, because these residents are paying $11,700 on their taxes just like anybody else. We own the road. They're in our township just like anybody else's. And if we're going to do it for any other neighborhood, there's no reason we shouldn't do it for theirs.
Okay, I understand. It's not
false information.
But my thing is, well, when you say it was pulled, it was not pulled here. If it was done at the Drain Commission, well, then fine. But my thing is, the Drain Commission sends letters out to every resident that is included in this drain assessment.
Mhm.
And I was included in that at one point. I'm no longer.
For the drain.
For the drain, yes.
Yes.
And the reason the road got repaved was because they had to tear the road up. It was not a road assessment. So that's where I'm saying it was misconstrued. It was a drain assessment, not a road assessment. That's what needs to be explained here, that it was a drain assessment that was pulled, not a road assessment that was pulled. And that may be why Mrs. Hirschberger was questioning on whether or not, what type of an assessment it was. That's all I'm saying.
The Drain Commission, you didn't have a choice on, but the road, this is where they had to do an SAD through the Drain Commission. And I didn't say who the SAD was through. I didn't say it was through the township. I just said it was an SAD. So that's all. You know, if the board doesn't feel like we should be helping that neighborhood, then we don't. Mr. Bruning?
Yeah, Paul, I'd like to make a motion that we separate the three to be voted on, but instead of voting on one, let's just vote on the three separate.
We could do that.
Make a motion to vote on three separate.
No, we could do that. Yeah, I mean, and to my neighborhood, it doesn't matter to me. We drove them and they looked at it and said, you know, it's showing a lot of cracking and there's no reason to not get on right away. Typically you can wait until they open up more, you know, to where it can get into a base, but there's quite a few cracks in there that, you know, that could use it. Otherwise, the road commission wouldn't have said to do it and waste the money. Or Manikin Smith, because Manikin Smith's not about wasting money either, so. Okay. Any other comments or questions? But that, just for clarity to the residents that we're just getting special treatment in my neighborhood or Al's neighborhood, when you pull a special assessment district, this is a program the township board put in place. Now, if the board doesn't want to do it moving forward, we don't have to. But we are doing crack seals because when you pull a special assessment district, you can ask the people that have done them, it takes months to do it. And it's a lot of work and it's a lot of money. And then the next couple of years, when you need a crack seal, because the road's going to crack, you have to pull another special assessment district and do the same thing for a $1,500 or $2,000 job. So we as the board, that was an incentive we come up with, and I think it's a great program. I just think we need to treat everybody fair. Ms. Hirschberger?
The previous board did approve that. They said if someone pulls an SAD for road improvements, that we would go back and we would crack fill those roads years after it's been done, just to keep the maintenance up. My issue is I've never seen a road SAD for the Heights. I would like to see that SAD, the petition and everything. I've never heard that the Drain Commission has done that. So before I would be willing to vote for that, I guess I would want to see the backup on that, because we've never agreed to do it for drains or water or sewer. We only said road improvements. So I would like to see that first.
Okay, and this is a road improvement. So, I mean, they're paying through their taxes $11,700 for the road and drain improvement. I mean, it's all one package, but they did have to do a petition for it. So, yeah, call the drain commissioner, but I mean, it's $800 for the crack seal. So, okay, I'll move that we approve the crack seal for the Trample Creek subdivision in the amount of $870.
Support.
Okay, motion supported, Ms. Hirschberger. Discussion.
And that one's what, 5 years old?
It was done in 2016.
Okay, so five and a half years.
But keep in mind, these are all different jobs. Okay, this wasn't a job to where they grinded 2 feet on each edge and then put a 1-inch cap of ultra thin overlay. They did a full grind job on this. It was different. So they're all different. So, hey, could you call a roll, please?
Hey, no. I had my hand up before.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up.
And so I figured, how many of these do you know? How many of these we do annually?
It just all depends. We drive them every year and look at them. And if it determines
are these the only 3 that we would do this fiscal or this calendar?
It'll be this
Or-
calendar year.
Okay.
These would be the only three. Now, next year, if there's some that open up more, you know, we can go in there and then we would bring that forward as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just give my perspective that how I looked at it is similar to how I look at SADs in general. That to me, it makes sense to spend $800 to do something and do that preventatively before it's in a bad situation to keep this up. And I think that's why previous boards approved that. I didn't know that there was a that, like, I guess we'll discuss the heights, but I thought it seems like something that makes sense, and I understand people's apprehensions, but it's like $1,000 or $800 for keeping something good. Be popular for a reason. I think it's good for this kind of stuff to get popular as well, to upkeep all of our roads so that we don't wait until they're Bedford Drive before we're trying to figure them out. Then they're really expensive and not $800. So that's all I have.
Well, just for clarity to anybody that's listening, the township doesn't do anything for neighborhood roads other than this. This is the only thing we've agreed to do. We don't do anything other than the cracks if you've pulled an SAD. And I think Ms. Hirschberger is getting technical with the I don't remember whether or not you had to pull it through the township or whether it's pulled through the drain commissioner, who it is. Either way, they're township roads, and this is a way we can maintain them. But I don't know what information you're looking for. If you want to call the drain commissioner's office, but you know, I mean, it's their road was redone, you know, and the taxpayers are paying for it. So it's pretty, in my opinion, it's pretty cut and dry.
I just wanted to see this road petition because normally road petitions go through the township, not the drain commission. I've never heard one. So that's all I'm asking for is backup.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's what the board agreed to.
Okay. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Montroy.
Aye.
Mr. Bruning.
Aye.
Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek.
Aye.
Okay, and I want to lump the next two together. I'll make a motion to deny Stonegate and Mildred Drive till we get more information, and we'll push Stonegate off 1 year to see what the cracks do. I'll make a motion to deny them too.
Mildred?
Not Mildred, I'm sorry. The Heights subdivision and Stonegate.
Second.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Steiner. Any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni.
Aye.
Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Bruning.
Aye.
Mr. Montroy.
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, motion passed 6-0. Moving on to 8E, discussion on using a contracted head assessor or to hire a full-time in-house head assessor. I've done my homework on all of them. We have two contractors, or actually technically three contractors. One of the contractors would actually be here full-time after he gets rid of a couple of his units, and then one of them would be obviously the person that just resigned, Ms. Eichler. So personally, I think, you know, any of them would be fine. So I do have them. I think they're all supposed to have been called in. I did talk to Assessing Solutions after our last board meeting and let them know that I didn't support them last meeting because I supported Ms. Eichler and I wanted to see her stay. But that ship has obviously sailed, so I let them know that I would support them 110% and I would be there for whatever they need if the board decides to go with them. But it had nothing to do with them personal. I'm sure they could do a great job. And I just, like I said, I told them I supported Ms. Eichler staying. And that's why I didn't support them. So it had nothing to do with them. But they agreed to stay in the running and keep their application. That's why it's on the agenda. So, Mr. Steiner?
So after reviewing everything in the packets, to me, there's two companies that if we're looking at companies, would be the most viable. One is the assessing solutions, and the other one is V&V assessing. Very close in their detail. The one thing I will say about assessing solutions, very extensive. I think Ms. Janczak pointed out there's 20 some pages in his resume. Actually, sorry, Krista, that was a call in that said that. But yes, 20 some pages in his resume and background. I took the time to talk to Mr. Mayard, and also took the time to contact Edward Vander Vries, that's the V&V. I had a nice discussion with both those gentlemen. And again, I think either one are capable. The one thing that I do know with assessing solutions, we discussed the amount of Bedford Township manpower that would be required to be kept. I know that in the documents we received, it was 1.5 associates. After talking to V&V, he was thinking it might be closer to 3 or 4. So I'm sort of leaning toward the assessing solutions, and I did make sure with Mr. Mayard. I said, after you withdrew the last time, I saw it in the packet. I wanted to make sure that you definitely wanted to be back in the running, and he said yes. And he mentioned that he had a good conversation with Mr. Peroni, so he's willing to put his company back in play here. So that's my opinion on the group that we have in front of us.
I did, because currently right now we have one full-time, Teresa, and then we have one part-time field worker, and then we have one receptionist that's seasonal, Joan, which is Pete's wife. So he did say he would like to keep that staff, assessing solutions, after I talked to him. But if anybody has any questions, I believe 2 of them are on right now, V&V and assessing solutions, if anybody has any questions for them directly. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for them or would like to hear from them? And I agree. I think the two, the V&V and assessing solutions, are extremely comparable. After talking with V&V, he said he could do the same thing with the staff we had. That was what he told me. And, same thing with assessing solutions. So it's up to the board. You can work with any of them.
I make a motion, we go with assessing solutions.
Mr. Steiner?
I'll second that, and then a quick question.
Is that a motion by Mr. Bruning?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Motion in support of Mr. Steiner. Discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question. I know that you recently brought somebody in to be an assistant in the department. Is the potential to eventually train that person to become an assessing person and get them down the path of possible certification going on?
She's looking at her MCAT right now. So, I mean, if the board decides they would like to keep her, because the board's going to have to approve her being a part-time individual, or when we get assessing solutions in here, if they decide they don't need her, then that's a route we can go to, is just letting her go. But I feel it's important, to keep her, with the staff we have. She's getting trained. She's learning fast. She's a great employee. And after talking with assessing solutions, they made it sound like to keep that same staff would be good. But she does want to learn. She does want to, I don't think she has plans to be a level 4. But as far as getting her MCAT and knowing her job, working up front was what she would like to do.
Yeah, the reason I asked is,
do you guys mind if I speak to that real quick?
Is this assessing solutions?
It is.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, so I've always believed in mentoring people. So by all means, if this is somebody that, wants to, eventually, get certified and go fully into it, then by all means, I would certainly play an active role in helping mentoring that person. And I'm a firm believer that you should be training your people how to take your job, because, we never know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Anybody else have any comments or questions for Andrew? Mr. Steiner, your hand's still up. Do you have a question?
I don't see it's up. It shows down on mine.
Okay, it just went down. Okay. Okay, we have a motion and support. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I'll just say, state why I'll be voting no, which would be the exact same thing I've been saying since 2 months ago when all of this arose, that it's just, I don't know, we're in this situation because the board didn't want to pay someone $75,000, which I think our third applicant in this packet had a full breakdown of pay structure that we went over and over and over and explained to the rest of this board that without anyone listening to it. And now, instead of giving that raise, now we're spending significantly more money. That is completely separate from the situation and the applicant and assessing solutions. But just to reiterate why I'll be voting no again.
Okay. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning,
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
Aye.
Mr. Montroy,
No.
Ms. Janusik,
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni.
Aye, the motion passed 5-1. While we got you on, sir, when do you plan to start?
When would you like me?
Tomorrow?
Okay.
As soon as possible, because honestly, we have a couple of splits that need to be done that I'll be putting one on the next agenda. But we really have some things that need to get moving on and need some attention.
Sure.
So whenever, ASAP. So.
Yeah, how about Thursday?
Okay, sounds good. We appreciate it. We look forward to working with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, bye.
Okay, item 8F, approval to bid out a new roof for Banner Oak School. I'm looking for the board to bid out the new roof needed for Banner Oak School. This is a property owned by Bedford Township, and the roof needs replacing. At this time, we have a grant for $6,000 to go towards it. I'm not familiar with the caller, Ms. Keene, calling in about the wood roof. We don't have any pictures to show that. It's been metal the metal roofs have been around for a long, long time. And this metal roof is extremely old, so we'd be replacing it with something similar. But it's up to the board. If the board doesn't want to, I could tell you this, that there's areas that are suffering in the building due to the roof. So it's imperative we fix it and maintain this building. So, comments, questions? Ms. Hirschberger?
Would the Historical Society be able to let us know what would be the closest that would sustain time but get us close to that historical look? So we can bid out correctly what we need to keep it historically looking?
I mean, they're trying, but I mean, you have to keep in mind, it's a metal roof. I mean, you can, I'm sure you can buy stuff that looks aged or have it aged, but you're going to get into some serious dollars. I mean, naturally, a galvanized roof will age. The historical building is going to be there for a long, long, long time. But I mean, it's a metal roof. There's not much out there, to my knowledge, without getting into huge dollars to make something look aged. And I know you can do that with copper roofs, but I mean, that takes this, a special treatment to age it as well before you put it on. But I mean, I would recommend we put on just your typical galvanized roof that kind of goes along with it. The cost should be around that $30,000 mark, I would think, roughly. We can always get bids, but as far as the historical, they are trying,
Yeah, I would just like their input when we go out for bids. I just think it would be a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've got Nancy Kudja on, going right along with us, working with us on it, so. Ms. Januzak, sorry.
Well, that's okay. I just was going to reiterate what Ms. Hershberger was saying. I'm not against fixing the roof, but we do need to, because this is a historical building and it has a lot of history in our township. I do think that we need to maintain the historical aspect of it. And I know it could be costly. I mean, I know at one point in time, before I even bought here, I was looking at buying a historical home. And there are certain things that you have to do if you're going to do some maintenance, or if you're going to do any construction or whatever to the buildings. I just hope and I want us to maintain the historical integrity of the building just going forward. I mean, I don't know I know Mr. Adams, Don Adams, he's been, with the Historical Society and stuff. And if we've reached out to him at all or anything, just to see if he might know anything. Like I said, I'm not against fixing the roof. It needs to be done. I just want to maintain the historical aspect of it. That's all.
No, I think it's a good, Mr. Bruning.
Same thing. I think at this point we have way too many questions. Is it okay if we table it? Get some of these questions answered? How imperative is it that it gets done right now?
Not. I mean, we have a grant that's sitting on the table. I mean, we don't want to let that go too long, but you have to keep in mind, we're replacing a typical metal roof. There's nothing fancy about it. There's nothing historical about it. It's a metal galvanized roof. And we'd be replacing it with a metal galvanized roof. I don't know what you guys, I get it. Talk to Mr. Adams, but the Historical Society is the one telling me to do this. They're the ones that oversee the building. They're the ones that are okay with this. I don't know what answer I'm going to get. I mean, if we're talking about a wood roof, you're going to spend $100,000, which, and I don't even know about the maintenance of it. I mean, I don't even know if they do wood roofs still like that. I don't know. I've never even heard, but I mean, the least we could do is put it out for bid and, get the bids and take a look at what we have. And in the meantime, we can do some homework as well. But like I said, I mean, it's a metal roof, so what's the pleasure of the board?
And make the motion, we table it. Get some more information. And like you said, get more bids also.
Well, I can't get bids. My agenda item is to be able to go get bids. So you're saying to just go get information on the metal roof?
Information gathering. You said we don't have to do it now. Let's get some of these questions answered.
Okay. All right. Moving on. We have a table. Do we have a support?
Second.
Okay. Motion and support of Ms. Januzak. Discussion.
What are our
options?
What are our options? Like, I feel it's either fix it or don't fix it, right?
Well, Ms. Keene said it needs wood, which that's the first I've heard of that from the Historical Society. And the other option is you replace it with a metal galvanized roof, which is what's on there. I mean, it's a metal roof. It's nothing fancy about it. It's not going to look much different. It'll be galvanized, or whatever the Historical Society wants. If they want a pink roof, I guess we'll have to get quotes on a pink roof. But I'm saying I've been in this industry. I've put on metal roofs for 20 years and,
Well, that's what I'm asking. I didn't know that there was a bunch of anything.
The only thing I could come back with is if I talk to Mr. Adams and he does indeed say, yes, there's a wood roof on it at point in time. And I would question the fact that why is there a metal roof on it now then?
Yeah.
I guess just some history maybe on it from the Historical Society. Why is that one on? What should be on it? I think that's what we're looking for, is just
they're the ones that told me what to do. So I'm relaying what they already told me what to do. So I guess I could have them put together a memo. So
that would be great.
Believable, I guess. I'm relaying the message.
Believable, but something from the Historical Society, since they're, been helping with it.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a support, and could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Yes.
Ms. Januzak?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
No.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
No, and the motion passed 3-2. Okay, moving on to G, direction on whether to sell or keep the 2010 Ford Crown Victoria. I'm looking for the board to sell or keep the 2010 Ford Crown Victoria. This car was used by the ordinance department and is no longer needed. This car will bring between 1,000 and 3,000. Pleasure of the board.
Sell it.
Okay. That's what I'd like to do, but
I think with the age of that vehicle, it makes sense that we put this out for bids.
okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make
Motion to sell. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Rick.
I'll make that into a motion that we post the 2010 Crown Vic up for bids.
Okay.
Support.
Motion is supported by Mr. Bruning. Discussion?
Do we want a starting bid or a low bid minimum?
I would say low bid 2,000.
So start with a minimum of 2?
Start with a minimum of 2 and go from there. Yeah.
Okay.
That amendment.
So. Okay. You guys are both good with that, Mr. Bruning? You good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Yes.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye. Motion passed 6-0. Item 8H, direction on whether to sell or keep the 2017 Ford Explorer. I am looking for the board to sell or keep the 2017 Ford Explorer. The vehicle is unsafe to drive at this time. You have a list of repairs to get the vehicle back in operation. It's roughly $13,000. If you want my opinion, I'd sell it. We could keep it out back for parts for the new ordinance vehicle, but I don't feel like we should do that and just have a vehicle sitting back there. So my recommendation is to sell it. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I support it. Let's sell it.
I'll make a motion. We sell the 2017 Ford Explorer. To be quite honest with you, I don't know what we should put the starting bid at. I mean, if we get $1,000 that I think we'd be happy with it, but I don't know how to put it out there for bid when you've got, it needs $13,000 worth of work. So what I could do is, ask a couple of shops what it's worth, bring them to the clerk and treasurer to agree on a starting bid. You guys good with that?
Good with that.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and Mr. Steiner.
How about also, just for the heck of it, what if we called a scrap yard and see what the scrap value is for the metal?
Probably $500. You ain't gonna get much more than $500. I mean, if you piece it out, you do all right. But I mean,
yeah, it doesn't make any sense in keeping it though.
No. Okay. Could you call the roll, please?
I didn't get a second.
I thought Mr. Bruning supported.
I second it.
Okay. All right. Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, the motion passed 6-0. Item 9, comments from the public. Comments limited to 2 minutes for each individual. Good evening. Go ahead and state your name and address and go ahead with your comments of 2 minutes.
Hi, Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. I'm back again. I'm pleased to see that the supervisor has seen the light and is now going to move the assessing department forward. The assessing department ran perfectly for about 25 years under 4 previous supervisors. And along comes our current supervisor and runs it into the dirt. And to now, Mr. Montry, you cried big crocodile tears over the fact that the board wouldn't pay Miss Eiler the $25,000, as you say. Of course, you didn't take into consideration the cost of benefits that would accrue to her. So big crocodile tears, you just voted no, but yet at the same time, with respect to Mr. LaScala, and I thought I was in approval of the what is, but you gave away by voting yes to support it tens of thousands of dollars of tax dollars, that's, by the way, citizens' tax dollars every year for him to support his business. Now, I did support that. I would have supported it. But you can't cry crocodile tears over one issue and then give away tax dollars on another one. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good night. Next caller. Good evening. Go ahead and state your name and address and go ahead with your comment.
Well, I was already on, and now I'm back again. Bye.
Yeah, Lamar, it's my turn. Job stuff 7136 Wilshire Drive. The planning commission seat thing that we're still going through that should have been handled months ago. You know, I guess where I'm coming from is I hope that we can have a little bit more of a discussion than what we had today, which was nothing. Obviously, the supervisor doesn't believe that the candidate that the rest of the board wants is qualified, and the rest of the board doesn't believe who the supervisor is bringing up is qualified. Can we have a discussion, meet in the middle, compromise, figure out a way to fill this seat? I mean, who cares who gets what they want at this point? We need to fill a seat. We need to move township forward and the board forward. At this point, have a discussion, talk to each other instead of I want this person and that's it. Right? I mean, let's work together. Let's figure out a way to fill this seat. I stated in an email to two of the township officials. Maybe I should have sent it to everybody. Whatever. There's another seat coming open in December. So what's going to happen in December? We need to fill 2 seats. Are we going to wait until that long? Have a discussion, meet each other in the middle, figure out a way to move forward. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Have a great night.
It's me.
Good evening. Go ahead and state your name and address and go ahead with your comment.
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. I just went through my notes, and I didn't see where Gail said anything about a wood roof. So I'm not sure where you got that. I would love to know where you got that information. However, despite the fact that you keep saying that you've been an expert in every facet of every industry, you fail to recognize that with the historical building, it's not just typical. This is not typical. You need to do things that are appropriate, not just what you want to do, which is why I'm happy that they're waiting to find out exactly what you should be getting a bid on. There is an obligation to the grant. You need to read it. It's very, very long, and it requires you to fulfill that properly. I did, however, suggest that you speak with the Monroe County Historical Society because they have been involved in projects like this. Bedford's has not been involved in projects like this. There's a lot of homework that needs to be done because there's more to that building that needs to be fixed. But you have to do things that are age appropriate. So despite the fact that you are an expert in every industry, a metal roof is not typical, and you will not find the roofs that they did in the old days. So what was put on was probably just a secondary roof to put on just to do it. So it does bear paying attention. As far as the other stuff, the full disclosure for the SAD on the Supervisor's Road, if everybody will recall, it was done as the very last project. It was snuck in to be covered under the township's money issues that they had for the SADs. And it was done just as he moved into that neighborhood. And if I recall, there were a lot of people that were upset that he pulled this.
Hey, Ms. Keene, thank you so much for your comments, but your time is up. Have a great night.
Well, thank you, sir.
Okay.
You have a good night, too. Bye-bye.
Okay, moving on to comments from township board members. Mr. Bruning? Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have any more callers, George? Okay, I thought so. That's why I moved on. Mr. Bruning?
No, everybody have a good night. Good meeting tonight. We're actually done early. Didn't have to extend it. Great job, everybody.
Mr. Steiner?
I've got a few things tonight I want to talk about. One, the first issue is Mulch King. I didn't put it on the agenda. Didn't feel it was necessary to put it on the agenda because it's not something we can vote on at this time. But after the last meeting, I committed to setting up a meeting with Mr. Nice of Mulch King. We set it up for the following Friday. We met with the building department, the planning department, Mr. Gore, myself, Mr. Nice, and the architect. Making a long story short of it, there's a couple of options that he has at this point, and his architect was very clear that either A, they go with the last site plan that was submitted to the township, or B, they go back to the BZA with a couple of changes that they would like to seek. We did discuss some of the things on the property that we're being told are unique. One of them has to do with Eagle, the old DEQ. We told him if he's got documentation, take that to the BZA, because it according to the one part, it says they can't put a fence on the west side of the property or berming on that property, et cetera. So show us the documentation, and we told him that, but there's no guarantee. We, as Joe Gore and myself, didn't commit to anything. We also told them that the BZA has the last and final word. The township board has no jurisdiction whatsoever over the BZA, as they're a quasi-judicial body. Thank you, Mr. Goldsmith, for that one. You always refresh our memory on that one. The second thing came up last meeting, unique tool and die. I've had discussions with the fire inspector on what needs to be done over there. I also got a call last week from some of the parties involved. I recommended they contact Mr. Peroni and get a meeting set up, which took place, I believe, yesterday, regarding what unique tool and die has to do. And I've been told that the meeting went well. I don't know the details, but I was told it went well. So I'm glad I facilitated that to move forward. The next one, I'm not going to mention names, but I just want to bring something up that I, myself, and Mr. Gore had an email FOIA'd. There was a local resident that was sending emails to me and Mr. Gore, had some suggestions of putting Mr. Covrette on the Planning Commission. But the long story short of the suggestion was trading votes for Mr. Covrette to get on there if we put Ms. Eichler in as the assessor. That was FOIA'd. That's factual. That's been posted on Facebook. I'm not a Facebook person. I was told it's there. So I was able to at least go up and look and see that, yes, it was there. Somebody clearly stated, and I will reiterate this fact. They said the two trustees didn't fall for it. I just want everyone to know that I will never, ever trade a vote or trade a vote for anything in return. Period. Last thing I have on my list tonight, it's been discussed at numerous board meetings since last year about the grievance that was filed from the maintenance department. There was a document that was from the labor attorney Phil Nance, dated 8/26 of 2020. That document was forwarded to the township supervisor on November 30th of 2020. It was asked again after the last board meeting where the grievance was, because we were told it was completed and filed. The document was then forwarded the next morning at 8:36 a.m. after the last township board meeting. But to my chagrin, I was not copied on that email. The entire board was on that email, but I was not. That's all I have for comments.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Ms. Janczak.
I have nothing.
Ms. Hirschberger?
Just want to remind everyone that the election is May 4th. That's a school election. If you need an application or a ballot, please contact the clerk's department. And an update on the website. The new website, as the communications committee presented to the board and was approved, is still moving forward. It's been a little slow with all the elections we've had, but we are working on it. And I can send some photos that I have of how it's going. I'm not sure of a date we'll be going live yet. It's still being worked on, but everything is being moved at this point, so it shouldn't be too much longer. And that's all I have.
Mr. Montry?
I was wondering if you were skipping me.
I forgot about you there for a second.
Doesn't hurt my feelings. Two things. One, I just want to state yet again, 2 months ago, I called very clearly multiple times exactly what was going to happen regarding 8E on our agenda tonight, the head assessor position. And I hoped I was wrong. I said many times, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I was deadly accurate. The other thing that I had was, I'm curious, and I hope the board will finally join me up here in the boardroom for our next meeting. So I guess we'll see. I don't know what, from my understanding from MTA, that's ready to happen. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from anybody else, but I'll be up here. All I got.
Mr. Goldsmith, you want to address that?
Yes. I'm going to, sorry, Craig, but I'm going to recommend that we meet remotely for the next meeting, and here's why. Right now, first of all, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners tonight voted to implement an emergency resolution to declare an emergency within Monroe County. And they did that for a 90-day period. That allows the board to continue to meet remotely. And the reason I'm recommending that is that under the current state health department laws or regulations, we could not exceed 16 people within our boardroom. And there's the very real possibility that if we meet in person, we'll have more than 16 people there. The result of which would be to cancel the meeting because we can't ask people to attend or move them to another room and watch it on TV. We have to make allowances for everyone who wants to be there to be there. So I don't want us in a situation where we have business to conduct to have to cancel the meeting and reschedule it because we have more people show up than what is allowed within our boardroom. So as of right now, it would be my recommendation for the next meeting on the 20th that we continue to meet remotely. We monitor what the state does, and we can continue through the emergency declaration adopted tonight by the Board of Commissioners from Monroe County. We can continue to do that the next 90 days. So that's my recommendation to you.
Would you like to address the situation he got with an email? I understand Mr. Steiner emailed you the information with Mr. Stump asking them a question as a resident. I guess that got sent to you. Would you like to address that? Because I'm unfamiliar with this whole situation.
Well, it's my understanding, and I think Mr. Steiner recited it accurately. It's my understanding that Mr. Stump, it wasn't sent to me, but it was forwarded to me. Mr. Stump made a suggestion, just as Mr. Steiner indicated, that why not consider appointing Mr. Covrette to the Planning Commission. Now, let me just pause there for a minute. Again, the Michigan Planning Act states that the supervisor makes the appointment subject to the approval of the entire board. We haven't been able to get there yet. So it's the supervisor's appointment subject to approval of the board. So I think it sounded like Mr. Stump was suggesting that why don't you compromise and appoint Mr. Covrette to the Planning Commission and then enter into a contract with Christine Eichler as the assessor. So I understand Mr. Steiner's response to that he interpreted that as trading votes, and he won't do that. There was nothing inappropriate about Mr. Stump's suggestion. It was his attempt to reach a compromise or a suggestion to compromise. Then each board member has to, within their own conscience, determine whether or not that's appropriate. So that's what I know about it.
Okay. A couple things with the website. I would like an update. I know the park board is held hostage. They can't do anything as far as rentals. I know the Treasurer's Department's not going to do rentals with this year, so something needs to happen with that website because that's what they're banking on to do rentals for our community. So currently, right now, they can't do rentals. So I don't know if the Treasurer's Department can currently do them temporarily, or if we're going to continue to wait for a website. What if this website doesn't get done for 3 more months? We've been working on it for almost, 8 months?
Can I weigh in on that real quick?
Sure.
Chaz Mann is working on that. I'm not involved with that part at all. So I'm not sure if he was currently trying to get it on this one or just on the new one. I would talk to them because I have not been involved with that at all.
I did today, and they said that they're waiting on the website. So you might want to talk to them.
They need to talk to me because I have not been involved. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, there's the information. So if you want to call them, go ahead. I'm just letting you know what they said
Okay.
today.
I just wanted to clarify it that
because people can't rent the facilities now. So maybe something needs to happen from the Treasury Department now to do rentals now until it can happen, unless it's going to happen next week because we're here. People are renting stuff. They want to rent the facilities that they own, and they can't because there's nothing in place. I appreciate you. Whoever you talked to was unique, but we've met 3 times in the last month, so I don't believe you facilitated us having a meeting, Mr. Steiner, with all due respect. I've been working with the owners and Mr. Kohler for a while now on this. I brought it up to you guys because I believe it's a situation to where, we're going after one company and not another. But either way, there's a lot going on with that building right now. It is currently for sale, so but I'll stop there. But I'm working very closely with them as I always do. You, Rick, I don't know how your name got missed on there. I have no reason not to include you on emails. So my apologies for that. That I'll do better about that. I'm always pretty good about getting everybody's name. We have worked with the Historicals Society. They have talked to them. So, as far as the roof, I'm not sure what else information I'll get, but I'll do my best to get information on that. I do want to make mention that if you are age 25 or older and don't have a college degree, you can attend Monroe County Community College tuition free through Michigan Reconnect, a program of the state of Michigan. Students who are age 25 can apply to attend tuition free. So look for that. Downtown Development Authority, we have purchased more banners. We're trying to really spruce up that area for Christmas, bought more lights. We are looking at a couple of speed signals. They have been proven to slow traffic down. And that was something that they desires to slow people down in that area. We are looking at the possibility of purchasing or doing the installation of lights at both intersections of Quail Hollow. They're looking at speed bumps in that neighborhood for cut through traffic. Our goal is to slow traffic down in that area and then do a traffic study and slow the speed down to get the more downtown feel. So a lot going on in the DDA. You have a great board and excited about them. A couple other things. With the COVID, let's not forget Animal Control and Humane Society. They can always use food donations. So if you're interested in getting involved, please contact them. And lastly, with the assessing department, when I got here, this assessing department was a disaster. And I've worked my butt off for 3 years to rebuild it. And up until about 4 months ago, we had an amazing assessing department. Ask Mr. Steiner. He commented multiple times on Miss Eichler's job she was doing and the reports she was doing and the updates she was doing. They were doing a bang-up job. And they had it all laid out. So I don't know what Mr. Fredericks is talking about, but this place was a mess when I came here. Other than that, things are going very well. And I continue to work hard for the community and hope everybody has a great week and enjoy this beautiful weather. So if anybody else has any further comments, we stand adjourned.